Hey, what's up guys? So back in the shop again, and hopefully giving you what you've been asking for, and that is a more detailed video on the rod bearing replacement on an S85 engine, whether it's in an M6 or an M5. In this case today we've got an M6 here. We will be doing the BE bearings on here along with the ARP rod bolts, and then we will also be doing the Vanos solenoids as well. So hopefully I will be able to get you a little bit more in depth than my last one. Probably end up being like a 3-part video, I'm guessing. I'm going to step over some of the very simple steps that you should know how to do if you're attempting this job. For example, I already have the air box out, so I can get my engine support on there in preparation to drop the subframe. Got the air box laying right there. Very, very simple to do. And like I said, if you don't know how to do that, this is probably a little bit more of a job than you should be tackling. Right here, there's a bolt on the head that I put in to attach my chain on this side, and over here we got the factory lift point right there. So that is how I support these. Next, I'm going to raise it up, drop the belly pans again. I probably won't show you how to do that because that's quite simple. And then once we got that done, we will get into dropping the subframe, what needs to be done to get to that point, and then onto the oil pan and then the rod bearings. So stay tuned. All right, so we got this stuff pretty much apart, the easy stuff, and we're ready to start taking the subframe off. Got all the plastic under trays off, and you see them sitting over here. Got the 2 front wheels off. Got the subframe brace off. That's all very, very simple, straightforward there, so I didn't include that. So what we are doing next is we'll be pulling these control arms off here. Got a bolt here, got a bolt here. Going to be dropping the end links out of the sway bar. The tie rod ends out of the hub out here. Same on this side. And then up in here we've got, get up in there. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not focusing, but right up in here we got 2 power steering lines that have to come off the pump there. And then we got a plug right there, and then the steering shaft has 1 bolt right up in there. So we'll be popping them off, and then we will have main subframe bolts. You got one here, got a couple up in there, and front here, and we'll be able to drop that out. Also, we've got this cooler line that's got to come off. Got a little 8 or 10 millimeter bolt holding it there. Same on this side right there. And that'll drop down, that'll stay with the car when the subframe comes out. And then this whole subframe will drop out with the sway bar and everything attached. The other thing is the engine mounts. We have the engine supported. I'll try to get a better shot once I get a light here. Maybe I can grab that. You can kind of see the engine mount hiding up in there. See if I can see. That bolt right in the center, about right in there. Alright, so moving on, we got 10 millimeter bolt right up in there. We're going to pop off. And one on this side. And we're going to put the bolt back in there so it doesn't get lost. We know exactly which is what. And moving on, we're going to tackle, it's almost lunchtime, so I want to get these lines off before I go for lunch so that it can drain and get everything dried off. Light set up here, so there's one right here and one right there, both side by side. I'm guessing they are either 18 or 19 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get those out of there. this one plug. I'm going to go ahead and unplug and get out of the way so we don't get oil on it. So the one thing we want to be especially careful is that we do not lose the copper sealing washers there. So you can see one is there on the bolt already, the other is underneath the line. And here is the lower one. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit tricky to show, but the easiest way that I've found to get that front mount bolt out is straight down from the top. Here, just got a long extension with a wobble joint at the end. Runs all the way down in there, and that is how I broke it loose. Pull it out here. See what I had there. Gonna run it up, and we should be able to pop it out by hand now. There's enough room. So there's enough room from the bottom to get your hand in there in a small ratchet, but not enough to break it loose. So now that I got it broke loose, we'll go down underneath and we should be able to pop it right out. Alright, so again, right up in here, you can get just your fingers up in there, and now that I have it broke loose, I'll be able to spin it out by hand. So that's how I get about getting that one out. Not too big a video once you kind of know what you're looking for. The main stud is just a little bit too hidden. It's a little hard to get. Just popping these two out does the same thing. And there it is. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up what we need to get loosened before we actually start dropping the subframe. I'm going to go ahead and grab a bite to eat, and then I'll be back and we will drop the main bolts out of here and start lowering the subframe down. Alright, so we have got everything loosened from the subframe as far as I can tell. I didn't get distracted by talking to the camera and miss something. We are ready to go ahead and drop the subframe. So to do that, we've got, I believe it's 6 bolts in total, 3 on each side. One right here, one right up in there, and one back here. Now these here I'm just going to let in place. They run all the way back to here. I did take them out, and I could take them out if I wanted to, but I have to drop these. So I think we're going to be able to work around them no problem. So we're going to let them in there for now. Other thing I didn't mention is that obviously I did drain the oil. The 5s and 6s, and I think possibly early 7s. I only had the one drain plug back here. 7s through 10s got also a plug in the front as well. So drain the oil out of both in preparation for dropping the pans so we don't have a mess. But for now, to recap, we got steering lines off the gear, get the shaft off the gear, we got the engine mounts loose, and the cooler line. So we are ready to get going on that. Alright, so didn't feel like digging out my trans jack, and this subframe is not that heavy. I'm just going to throw my oil drain up underneath there just so it doesn't drop. So I have all the bolts out. I'm going to grab the impacts here. I believe these are 18 millimeters. Yep. So first one up on the top there. Now one thing I generally will do is not quite run the bolts all the way out. That way if something is still attached, it won't completely drop, but it will allow it to come down a little bit. That way you can double check. So we'll just let that one in a little bit. Center ones we'll just take out completely. Obviously that one's up in there. There we go. And then one right in the back here. These are different lengths, so make sure you remember which one goes where. So before we completely take it out, just make sure everything's nice and loose. You want to make sure you got adequate tension on your engine mount or your engine support. So we can see the engine mounts are not moving, so that means it's supported properly from above. Alright, I did forget about this one nut that you pretty much got to get when you have it partially down to 10mm here, and it secures this one hydraulic line to the rack and pinions. That's 10mm right there. We go ahead and grab a socket. Alright, so that is the subframe coming out. Gotta go ahead and clean up our mess. Should have had a bucket there to catch some of that fluid, power steering fluid, but that's fine, we'll clean that up. Also gonna grab something to cover up these lines so we don't get dirt and stuff in there from when we're working around there. But other than that, I think that will wrap up the first part of this. Next, we will be moving on to removing the oil pan and actually getting into looking at what the rod bearings look at, disassembling it and all that. But for now, this is what the subframe looks like. Pretty simple, fairly easy. So you can see here's the two connections we have to take loose. Got to put my plugs back in there to keep dirt from getting in there. This is the one stud I removed from the top on the left side or driver's side. On the other side, you can see the mount is still in the car. I just removed these two bolts, which are here and here. Just simply because on the passenger or right side of the car, this stud is kind of in under the manifold. It's a little bit too tight of an angle to get in there, so it's easier to get to these two. So that's why I do it that way. Some people do remove the nut. I'm sure you can if you mess around with it a little more. For now, I'm going to grab my plugs that fell out and put them back in there because we don't want any contaminants getting into any of these systems here. Might see if we can find a smaller plug. But anyway, that will just stay there until we're ready to reassemble. For now, we're going to move on to cleaning up the mess and then moving on to oil pan removal. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gives you the information you guys need if you are thinking of tackling your own rod bearing change. So again, hit that like button, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next episode of replacing the rod bearings on an S85 BMW engine.